Welcome back, folks, to the Director's Garage. I am your host and resident idiot, Michael, and today, folks, we've got a mystery box. This mystery box. I have no idea what's in this thing, but we're about to open it up and check it out together and talk about what's inside. Now, I want to talk for a second about the Patreon situation. Now, I started a Patreon page for those of you interested, and on December 23rd, we held our first ever online meetup over Zoom. I'm calling it the Hangover Hangout. On that stream now, I revealed an addition to the Director's Garage, a new addition that won't show up until our next episode. So folks got an early peek at what's coming to the show. I also had Rodrigo from Audio 46, who gave everyone a tour of the Audio 46 showroom in New York City. Now, I've never been there, so that was a real treat for me. I got to see all of those amazing headphones all in one spot, on display. So cool. We had a member who once worked with the great Miles Davis and shared some stories with us. Plus, we had a conductor of an orchestra who joined us from backstage at an opera house in Germany. He was about to go out and conduct an orchestra. So cool. And Ken from Ken's Workshop stopped by. He was a wealth of knowledge for any technical questions that came up. Ken builds amps in his spare time, because we all should, shouldn't we? All right. It was an amazing 2.5 hour stream. There was a lot of takeaway. I encourage you to check out, it's a $5 commitment for the month, and you get access to the live streams, and any questions you have, you can send our way. We'll help get them answered for you. All right. Now back to our mystery box. Now, I don't know much about this other than who sent it to me, and it came to us from our fine friends at iFi. Now, iFi is the manufacturer of some exceptional sounding portable and desktop amps and DACs that won't kill your wallet. All right, maybe they'll induce a little bit of pain, but a little pain never hurt anybody, did it? All right. I'm sorry, sometimes you just scratch your head at your director. I get it. Okay. Now, iFi does make some of the coolest products in the personal audio space. From the GoPod, these are wireless adapters for your wired IEMs. You get total freedom with them. All the way to the iCan Phantom. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. All kinds of useful tools and adapters for your rig. I've had the pleasure of reviewing the iFi iDSD Pro, a full-featured portable amp DAC, and its big brother, the iFi Diablo. I had that one in here too. Both of them were killer devices, and I can't wait to see what they've sent our way to check out. So, is it the Diablo 2? Is it a desktop? Well, let's gut this sucker and find out. The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on, and then he took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. You got that one? That's The End by The Doors off their first album. It's an absolute classic. Maybe the best debut album of all time. Man, what a band. All right, not much in the way of packing on this one. It's basically open. So the question is, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Wow! Bubble wrap. Oh, it's something big. It's something big. And it's from iFi. Are you ready? Here it comes. The iFi Pro iDSD Signature, a DAC streamer, preamp headphone amplifier. Oh my God. Boys, I think we just scored. Wow, check this thing out. It's so cool. Native MQA. Oh, this is just awesome. A galvanic isolation. That's the stuff that they were running in the Cord DACs, and those things were really expensive. Studio grade. Man, this thing just looks killer. Let's start to open it up. What do you say we start getting this thing out of the sleevey case? There it is. There it is. We got ourselves, we're down to the box. I think it's going to come off in one. There it is, boys. There it is. Look at this thing. Oh, this is a hunk of metal. Holy God, this thing's gorgeous. Look at this thing. Look at it. Look at it. I don't even know what this stuff does, and I'm impressed. Look at this. This is awesome. Guys, look, this thing is just beautiful. First of all, you got a nice stop pad on the bottom. Very cool. It's got some protectors. That's a protective thing if you want to give it an external clock, I'm guessing. And then you've got buttons on the front. This thing's gonna take some research. I don't know if I can just like plug this in and go, but check it out. You've got yourself this input plus or minus. It looks like it might control some of the lighting features on the thing too. It's a push button. Then you've got this filter knob here and another push button, and it looks like it's got some Bluetooth maybe on it, some Wi-Fi. And then down here you've got a selector. Looks like different modes of input. I'm not sure. Over here you've got a gain selector, and then you've got an unbalanced 1/4 inch, and then you've got the 4.4 balanced output, IR remote, and then probably looks like single-ended. I'm not sure what that is. That might be just for IEMs maybe. And then a very nice volume knob over here. Looks really sweet. Let's check out the back now. On the back, you've got outputs of both unbalanced and balanced for a portable little desktop unit this size. Impressive feature so far. You've got an Ethernet in, presumably that's the streaming component. You've got some output modes here that you can select between fixed and variable outputs. You've got RCAs, a host USB, a device USB. This is how you're going to stream your music to it. Looks like you can put a card in here, a memory card, to give it some additional files on board. You've got an XLR digital input, a coax. I don't see an optical. That's an interesting omission. You've got yourself an antenna port right here, and then a sync out, this is, and then DC 15 volts input. Very interesting stuff, and you have a bunch of selectors over here for syncing in through BNC as well. So if you're feeding this with a word clock, you could do that too. The thing would lock up. Other than that, on the sides you don't have much. Looks like you've got a little bit of a, this is some sort of window in. I got a hunch that that's going to light up depending on what your source and what your frequency rate is. But let's actually look into the box a little deeper and find out what all this stuff does. So let's check this out, and we pull this up, and we're going to get some adapters, I'm guessing. I'm guessing a lot of adapters. Looks like we got ourselves a remote ski and an antenna and some RCA cables. Power situation here, going to need this. And then the long iFi box. This always has some interesting things in it. And in this case, oh, it's a big ol' ass power supply. Look at this. Woo, that's a chunk of metal. This thing will brain you, folks. And it looks like you get yourself a little bit of a free title kind of thing. And then here is your instruction manuals. I may actually need it this time. So let's throw all this stuff in here and get this out of the way. So a few things we can, or I can do. Sorry, it's the I can, get it? It's not bad. Anyway, you can put in this antenna here. This is going to help it out with the Wi-Fi signals. This has got a screw in like so, and then I imagine it tilty uppies like that. Then you get this kind of cool Martian-y looking thing. And then you got to get a little power situation going. You got this brick here that's actually pretty attractive for an outboard brick, although it's a bit on the large side. No wall wart here. This thing's massive. Plus, check out the remote situation here. This thing's righteous. There's a lot going on here. You've got DSD, you've got menu settings, brightness settings, volume, track moving around stuff. This is a serious remote. Very Apple-like actually in feel. This reminds me a lot of the Apple TV remote. Very cool. And nice also that they sent us this little adjuster screwdriver to set these different things. I'm going to let this ride for now because I'm going to hook this up into my existing system. We're going to give this thing a first listen. Time to head into a director's garage sound impression. folks, so I'm about to fire this thing up and take a look at it, and I put a bunch of cables into it. I've got a USB, I've got an Ethernet, and then I've got the power hooked up, and then I'm running my Meze Elites through the balanced cable into here, and I'm going to use zero gain initially because these are pretty efficient headphones. I don't see them needing a whole lot of nothing, but let's fire this thing on and take a look at some of the lights and action going on. And here we go. And we get a little red iFi popping up. Any screen action? Oh yeah, there's the screen coming in. It says iFi Pro iDSD. And it looks like it's kind of doing a little warm-up cycle here. Oh, we started getting a green blinking iFi logo. This is actually really cool the way this is screened in here. It's like there are small little perforations in the metal allowing it to show the iFi logo here. Very cool. And now it looks like it's got itself a lock. We've got some orange going on all over. I'm going to set this down and let's go to our Rune situation. I'm going to go to All Things Must Pass by George Harrison. And the track I want to check out at first is his version of If Not For You. Let's see what happens. I'm going to turn up some volume here. Well, it's got plenty of drive for this, that's for sure. And let's see, this is coming in at 96K, you can see down there. Really cool that it is showing you all the different things it's doing. Now, just for posterity, let's go through versions of this and let's look at the title setup and see what happens when I go to an MQA 192 version. Does it pick up the... Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's a different mix. All right. So now we're going into this thing, and it picked up MQA. It picked up 192. And it's a beautiful, full sound. It's doing some spatial stuff that I wasn't getting on my regular download version. There's a sub that's kicking here that I wasn't getting before. Let's step up a little bit. Let's pause for a second. God, I love that. I love that George Harrison album. But let's give it something more tricky. So next up, I'm going to switch out to the Caldera. This is one of my very favorite headphones, as you well know. And we're going to give these a listen. A little trickier to drive. Let's see how this handles George Harrison. And again, the same MQA track is what we're going to go to. And this is needing more gain, of course, on the knob, but I'm still on the 0 setting. You want the lowest gain possible. This is doing a beautiful job. This is a nice desktop option. I can't pick this apart so far. There's not much to complain about here. It's taking USB in. Now, one thing I wanted to try to do was use this, but it didn't come with a battery. This remote didn't. So I'm going to have to try and find a battery around the house and see if I can make it work, because I do think that this unlocks some different stuff that maybe you can't get to from just the knobs. I'm not really sure. I should probably read a little bit up on this. All right, I did some reading because I was really getting sort of ahead of my skis here a little bit. And here's what I've determined. Here's what I found out. Okay, this down here enables or disables a tube pre. So if you go into this mode, this iFi logo turns orange. If you're over here, it stays white. Or you can get this kind of plus mode, which kind of stages both. It's kind of like a hybrid mode. So we got some things to check out on this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip between the tube mode and the solid state mode and hear if that makes a difference. Let's go back to our little George Harrison experiment here and see how that does. Okay, so this is with the tube engaged. It sounds really nice on the tubes, I gotta say. But let's turn the tube off and see what happens here. And there's a pause while it locks and engages the new circuit. And it sounds to me fairly similar. It just sounds like you get maybe a little less warmth, a little more precision, but I'm not getting a massive difference. And I get a little bit more space in it. I actually kind of prefer the tube mode engaged, at least on this track. Sounds really nice. I'm impressed, though, by the transients and the treble reproduction. This thing's sounding really good. Great bass digging deep. This is a quality machine here, and I love these sort of jack-of-all-trade devices like this. They can be really handy on a desktop. Now, the other thing this thing has on it is a ton of filters, and it does upsampling and all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to show you some of those now. So I'm going to go to Elton John, and I'm going to go to Honky Chateau. Now, this is a DSD version of this, so let's see what this does. And this sounds wonderful. Now, I'm going to go... Now, over here, we have several different filters we can try. That's nice. I really like the transients aligned. That's pretty cool sounding. Just gives me a little spatially thing that seems to be a little different. Now the other side of this is you can upsample your DSD by holding this button down. And that turned the DSD upsampling off. If I hold it again, okay, you can select which upsampling you're doing. Ooh, boy, that sounded great. It's gonna turn it off. Wow, it's a great upsampler. Everything just gets more precise, and I appreciate what that's doing. It sounds really good. And there's so much great instrumentation in this Elton John track. These early records are phenomenal. This is doing a great job of presenting it to me. And there is plenty of gain available, so it makes me want to give it a little bit of a nudge. Let's pause for a second, and let's pull out the big one. Yep, it's time to give it the Susvara test. And I think this may be a problem, but let's give it a shot anyway. Oh yeah, that's a problem. There's almost no bass. And I totally cranked up, and it's giving me a bare, like, not even a quiet listening level. Okay, so we found a weakness, but let's jump the gain up and see what that does. Now down here is the gain switch, and I'm going to give it all the beans. I'm going to give it full 18 dB of gain. But as you know, when you start to add gain, you also add grain. So let's hear how this goes. And it does an okay job. So it can drive the Susvara. It can push the Susvara. But it's not the best experience. You are getting a lot more grain with this, and it's not giving me a deep, rich bass. It's giving me more of a thump down low. Could you use this and get by? Yes. But But the big thing with the Susvara is, you're paying $6,000 for this experience, for this Susvara experience, and you really need the cleaner, purer sounding gear to give you all that this thing has to offer. This is driving it. In the treble, when a cymbal hits, it kind of sibilants and bunches up a bit. It's not perfectly smooth. It's a little bit more in the mids, like he's a little edgy on his vocal. So when you push that gain up, you are adding a lot of bad stuff along with it. And it just doesn't have enough power with no gain added to give you all the things this far has, especially down low. That sub completely disappears. So I think it's safe to say that you can push a headphone that's tough to drive like this, but it's not going to give you a phenomenal, like, earth-shattering experience the way some of this other gear back here can do, like the Zale. And looking at this thing, I mean, this thing's pretty, and there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of tech involved in this. I'm assuming this thing is going to go in the ferrum ore sort of area as far as how much it's going to cost. You've got a very nice, expensive power supply here that's doing a lot more than just your basic plug it into the wall thing or a wall wart. And you've got all of this extra functionality with DSD decoding and upsampling and MQA. So let's go to the web right now. I'm going to go live to the internet, and let's go to Audio 46, our friends there, and look up iFi Audio. And we're going to check out and go down. They've got so many products. Man, they have got productitis on this brand. And here we go. So we're looking at 3,200, about 3,250. The other thing I noticed is that you can add this iFi Pro iCan setup. This is a straight amplifier that would go directly off of this unit and a matching faceplate, and it would give you a little stack that could probably drive stuff like the Susvara. Now that puts you at a $5,000 level, and at that point you're also in the ballpark of the Hollow. You're starting to get up into that territory, and maybe those things look a little more attractive. So let's start to bring this all home a little bit, and who is this for? I think this is for somebody who has a decent budget, but not a top-of-the-line budget. Somebody who is interested in a ferrum or stack with the Wandla and all of that stuff. I think that this is expensive, but it offers a lot of value for that price. It just can't drive your harder to drive headphones. I like that it's got the tube pre. I like that it's got the solid state pre. I like that you've got some options here as to how to drive it. I would suggest avoiding this gain switch at all costs. When I engaged that, it wasn't so great, but I seriously enjoyed playing with all of these different filters. And I found this transient align filter to be very interesting, along with the Bit Perfect. I also like that there's an upsampler on this, and you can get some cool upsampling options on this DAC amp setup, and a good power supply too. Nice bricks power supply giving you clean power. Do I recommend this? I don't know. I need to spend more time with it and see where it falls. It's nothing that I want to jump out and buy given what I have here, but this is an insane system now, and it's here to push headphones to their maximum, and I think that this will do a good job of giving you good experiences on your desktop, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is a little bit on the pricey side for everything that it offers, and I would also like to hear what some of iFi's lower mid-tier products go for and what they can accomplish that this one obviously must surpass it in some areas. And there's one other factor I want to touch on before wrapping this up, and that is fun. This thing's fun. I had a good time playing with this thing, and I want to play with it some more. I like all of these modes. I want to find out what they all do, and I want to see what the app looks like if I can get that loaded onto this thing. I don't think I may not be able to get that done because this is a loaner and they want you to register the unit, and I don't have a sales receipt or anything like that. So maybe I can't get into the software end of it. But I'm having fun checking this out, and there is a fun factor to this. It's a very expensive fun factor at $3,200. That's a lot of beans, folks, and it's putting itself in direct competition with some heavy hitters, and I don't know if it can stand toe-to-toe without having them here side by side. So I gotta thank iFi for sending the iFi Pro iDSD signature DAC streamer preamp and headphone amp and filter, and oh my god, it's like a Swiss Army knife situation here, all in one. I can't wait to dig into it more. Now, coming up, I do have a new reveal of a very expensive addition to the Director's Garage. Patreon members already know about it. If you were here on the Patreon Hangover Hangout, I revealed that product, and I talked about a host of other topics as well. Got to know some folks. It was a 2.5-hour Zoom session. If you're interested, there's a link below to that. I also have a totally blind what's in the box here. I have no idea who it's from. I have no idea what it is. I hope it's not explosive. And if it is, we're in for one hell of a show. Don't miss it. So subscribe and like and do all of the things. Give this episode a thumbs up if you enjoyed our first look at this iFi amazing little unit down here. Or you can do the other thing if you'd wish I'd blow myself up. Oh, wait.